And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline. Uh, Real quick, before we get started, just want to remind you folks that if you guys have any strange stories, any strange encounters with cryptids, paranormal, UFO, aliens, or just anything that you would think is just not normal, man, hit me up. My email is beyond.woodline@gmail.com. I promise you, I won't think you're crazy. I mean, I'll go out looking for Bigfoot. How crazy is that, right? So, I get that comment so much. People will spend literally 10 minutes telling me, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I know you're going to think I'm crazy. And then they wind up telling a story that's pretty much something that you've heard 100 different times. Um, so, don't be afraid to contact me. I promise you, at the very least, I'll listen to you you know, and I'll be your shoulder to cry on or to lean on, whatever you want to do. I promise you, I won't judge you. And with that being said, my two guests are Sean and Phil from Bump in the Night Society. How are you guys doing?
What's up, man?
What's up, brother, man? Good to see you. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, man. Just real quick, you told me a story right before we came on the air. I had a Bigfoot witness like last week was telling me that him and his girlfriend were out by this lake. There's a long dam that goes across the lake, and she was, they were fishing, and he swallowed a damn bug. And he starts coughing. He's like, man, I'm like, it like really got stuck in my throat. And I'm coughing up a lung. He says, I'm looking at my girlfriend and she's waving at me. He goes, I can hear her talking to me, but I can't hear what she's saying because he's coughing so damn loud. And when he finally stops coughing and she says, come here, he gets over there next to her. He goes, what? She goes, there was a damn Bigfoot crossing the dam right when you started coughing, and he stopped and he looked up and he turned around and walked back into the woods.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Man, that's crazy.
That was just happened to be a funny story, but anyway, I just thought about that.
That's fantastic.
So what's up, guys? Man, tell me a little bit about yourselves and how you guys got started with Bumping the Night.
Originally, I was part of another group that actually is just came back to a lot of these paraseekers. Me and a buddy of mine started that group up. Did that for about a year. Then we broke off in the Bump in the Night Society, which we started in 2020. There's 7 of us total. I'm the owner and lead investigator. Mikey's another lead investigator. My wife runs all our social media. Phil plays Bumpy. We do the podcast together. Hannah, Troy, and April are other members. Bill, you have anything to add?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's I actually was a part of another paranormal team back when I was like 28, 29. I'm 37 now. It was Oakmont Paranormal with our buddy Drake, and it was about a year or so. Then after a while, just kind of like, I don't want to say I just didn't grow disinterested. It's just life gets in the way kind of thing. And then I, there's like a long stretch of like not doing much. Then, Sean and I, we became friends through, working at a haunted house together as actors. And he made a post, I want to say, 3 years ago, 3.5, maybe 4, of his team, Celestial Oddities, going to the Anchorage Mansion in Marietta, Ohio. And I was like, oh, yeah, man, this is really cool, dude. I miss doing this. And he was like, yeah, you want to come along, man? I'm like, well, hell yeah. So then we went to that investigation and, of course, the interest kicked in again. And then, fast forward a little bit, the one other member of the team that, left before they regrouped, left the spot open. And someone was like, hey, you want to be another member of the team? And I was like, yeah. And then we obviously came up with another name, Bump in the Night, and it's been that way ever since. So it's been pretty awesome so far.
Yeah, so who came up with the name Bump in the Night?
It was me.
Yeah.
We had different options. 3 that we did a poll for it on I think on Instagram, and the 3 that it came down to was Bump in the Night Society, Goodwill Haunting, like Goodwill Hunting.
I like that one. Yeah, that was good.
And the other one was,
I think there was only 2, Goodwill Haunting.
there was that Para Addicts one.
Yeah, that's what it was.
There was more to that name, I think, but yeah, Bump in the Night Society is what everybody voted on, and that's funny.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name. I like it, man.
Thank you, man. It's got
What's funny was the promotional poster that I make.
Yeah,
I always post it on TikTok, of course, and somebody commented, I was just about to start a podcast called Bump in the Night. Now I got to
There's a couple other Bump in the Nights out there. We're the only Bump in the Night society, though. But I know,
Right.
I think over in like England or something, there's a Bump in the Night.
There is, yeah, I think, but they're not as cool as we are. But yeah, it's awesome, man. Just being a part of something like this is
Yeah,
really
man, I love this stuff. I love the paranormal, of course, Bigfoot stuff and UFO and aliens. I lived in a house where I had tons of paranormal activity. It was a pretty crazy house. Nothing scary, but it was just a fun house.
Mhm.
But Sean, if you don't mind, what got you like interested in the paranormal? What was like that little light bulb moment that went on?
Well, I mean, my first experience probably when I was a kid, the house I used to live in, I was probably like 4 or 5. I was young. My brother's 6 years older than me, and me and my brother both were in the dining room of our house building with mini bricks, and we both saw a guy like in a trench coat standing in the like. There was a dining room. There was like this little corridor, and then there's a basement door, and he was like standing in the corridor right there, in front of the basement door, and we both saw him. Like to this day, my brother's 6 years older than me, so he's a little bit more credible because I was a little kid, but he still like remembers seeing it. So we went and told my dad. My dad looked through the whole house up and down, and everything else. Didn't see anybody. And the funny thing is, later on down the line, when I was probably late teenager, early 20s, my friend had a psychic party. And you invite the psychic over and she reads you and everything. And one of the things that she talked about that she knew nothing about was there was something supposedly in my basement in my house. So that's kind of weird that coincided with that. Then doing the actual investigating and that, me and Jen have done stuff before we were in groups. We went to Gettysburg and stuff. She was actually my daughter's Girl Scout leader. I've known her for 12 years or so. So we went to Gettysburg and we did some stuff there, and we've been to New Orleans. We got engaged in New Orleans in a cemetery. We've been doing that stuff before the group, and then she wasn't originally in the first group. She did end up being in the first group, but originally it was me and the other guy and a couple other guys, and then brought her in, and then we branched off and did our own thing with Bump in the Night.
What about you, Phil? What got that little spark going for you?
Actually, it's funny because I didn't grow up in a haunted house. Even though the bedroom that I stayed in, apparently the previous family, I guess one of the members passed away in that bedroom. So I was a lucky guy to be in that bedroom. But no, honestly, I started actually my first love with the paranormal actually came with entertainment haunted houses, and I've always been a huge fan of them ever since I was a kid. Well, loving horror films and stuff. My mother took me to my first ever actual haunted house, well, entertainment one, Terrace by the Lake in North Park, and I thought it was really freaking cool. And then you guys will laugh at this too because I used to go to a religious camp for families, and they had a graveyard across the street from the not across the street, across the lake, and we would always go over there to tell scary stories and stuff, and the actual staff members would play a creepy prank on us. So then just something like that, and just a lot of experiences with my family and all that stuff too. And I've always been a fan of creepy stuff, and I thought ghosts were always pretty cool, but I never had the opportunity to be a part of something that actually seeked to discover them or get answers. And then obviously with Oakmont Paranormal, it was the very first exposure to actually being an investigator and doing all these investigations. Wow, this takes a lot. And of course, being a fan of ghost hunters and ghost adventures and all that stuff, I'm this is kind of cool. I can really get into this. And just from the early age of liking horror films to the entertainment haunted houses, and of course a lot of that coincides with the paranormal, at least in my opinion. It kind of sparks that interest a little bit, and that's kind of how it all kicked off for me.
So Phil, what was your first validation? Okay, there is something to this. There is something in the paranormal.
Honestly, I will say a lot of family experiences too. I'm trying to think of the very first interaction. Well, I don't want to say the first interaction, but whenever me and Sean have done stuff, we went to, I think it was Dead Man's Hollow in McKeesport, and we actually had some poltergeist activity in a tunnel whenever we were investigating with two of our friends, Chris and Mary. What was it, Sean? The REM pod, or it was the
It was an Ovilus.
Yeah, there was the ovulus, and just like kind of like lifted up and like flipped over kind of thing. So there's just like an accumulation of things. And I've seen some shadow figures in my parents' house, and that could have been sleep deprivation. Waking up in the middle of the night, your eyes are playing tricks on you. You're like, "What the hell is this?" And just with like a lot of like family experiences too. Like one I always like to tell was years ago, whenever my grandfather's younger brother passed away from cancer. He was really big into Christianity and stuff, and whenever he passed, both my pap and his two other brothers, as well as the deceased brother and his wife and kids, they all got phone calls at the exact same time from their house. And once they picked up the phone call, there was nobody on the other end of the line. Could have been coincidence, but something like that was like, okay, this is legit, at least in my opinion. So yeah, just stuff like that. Nothing really negative or anything. Just really like it's like, wow, okay, now you got my attention. So
What about you, Sean? What was like? Can you remember your first validation?
I've had a couple weird things happen to me over the years. Actually, talking about his phone thing, which I think Phil heard this story before. Um, my dad passed in 2011, and he had a lot of health issues. He was diabetic and had kidney transplant, lost his vision, stuff like that. But the date, October 13th, Friday 13th, October 13th, like 10 years before he passed, he had a kidney transplant on that date. It was also my daughter's due date, was October 13th. So that date's pretty significant. The year after he died in 2012, on that date, I got a phone call from somebody. You can't tell what they're saying, but it sounds like my dad talking. And my mom's not alive anymore now, but at the time she was alive. And I let my mom hear it. I let my brother hear it. I let my kids hear it. They all thought it sounded like my dad. I still have the recording. So like tying in with what he was saying, like that was pretty creepy. Like I said, there was a couple other things that have happened. Seems like it usually involves my dad. One of the other things is coming back from Gettysburg. I was saying we used to go to Gettysburg all the time. I don't know how much you believe in phone apps as much. I believe in some of them. I've gotten a lot of relevant shit. But we had a phone app running in the car. And as we were talking about my dad, across the phone app came Bubba. And that's what my kids used to call him. So that was kind of weird that like that came across the phone app,
Yeah. And you know what, man? I totally relate with your dad. My dad passed away in 2012, and it's funny. He was a diabetic. He was on dialysis.
Yeah.
He wound up having two small strokes, which is basically a bad stroke. He had them like within like 2 months of each other. And but after he passed, dude, I just knew he was around me. And I was kind of going through a bad time from 2017 to 2019, and he was around me during that time, and I have no doubt. And there was when I was in San Antonio, well, outside of San Antonio, my daughter was downstairs. I was throwing some clothes to her, and I was like, "Here, throw this in the washing machine," because she was about to wash some clothes. Well, the light switch was right next to me. I heard it flick, and then the light came on right above me, right? And I just said, "Okay, that's Dad, right?"
Yeah.
2 years later, I come back to Houston, and I'm actually staying at my mom's house, and I'm telling her this story, and I'm like, "Yeah," I said, I was throwing the clothes down, and the light switch comes on, and right when I said that, the light switch in the kitchen flips on.
oh geez,
And
that's
we
crazy.
both saw it. We both heard it.
That's
It was
cool.
crazy. So I
Damn,
said, "Yeah."
man.
So yeah, that's Dad right there.
That's
And
like I've had some stuff with my mom too. One thing is like her ringtone used to be "House of the Rising Sun." You know that song?
Yeah.
good song, good tune.
Well, me and Jen, we just did an investigation at Hillview. This was years ago, but I'm saying we just did an investigation. We get in the car. As soon as we get in the car, that song comes on the radio, which is kind of weird that just came on right after doing that type of stuff. Another thing is too, when she passed, like she was living with me because her health was going towards the end, and she used to sit in a recliner in the living room, and like the way my bedroom was, I'd cross the hallway to go to the bathroom. You could look down the hallway, you could see her sitting in the chair all the time. Well, after she passed, I swear, like I'd still see her sitting in the chair for like a week or two after,
Mhm. Yeah. So my mom's birthday is this month. Last year we had a birthday party for her. She turned 72. Um, and we had the party on a Sunday. On that Monday, my brother and my uncle, which is my dad's twin brother, and then his wife, my aunt, they were going to go to the cemetery to go visit my dad.
Mm.
And so Monday goes by, Tuesday rolls around. I said I'm gonna call my brother to see how the trip went, because I knew he had taken the day off. He took the day off, and my niece took the day off because she was real close to my dad, and they were gonna all go up there together. I called my brother on that Tuesday, and I'm like, hey, how did everything go? Y'all get up there okay? He goes, no, we wind up not going because it was raining so hard, and it gets really muddy over there. He goes, so we didn't want to go. And so we're just gonna schedule it for some other day. He says, but I got something to tell you. And I said, like, what's up? He said, Sunday at the party, Maddie, which is my other little niece, she had just turned 15. She goes up to my brother and says, hey, I keep hearing Grandpa in my head. He's telling me, he's telling me that he's happy that Grandma's having a party and that he's proud of us for throwing her the party and that she really deserves the party. That's what she says she keeps hearing. Mm. I said, no shit, honey. He goes, yeah. He goes, but check this out. He said, Monday when I called Uncle James, like I said, my dad's twin brother, to see if we're still going or not. And he's like, no, because it's too muddy. He says, but I got something to tell you. He goes, your aunt told me that at the party she was hearing your dad's voice.
Oh, wow.
And that he was saying that he was glad she had the party and that she deserved it, and that when her time comes, he would be there for her.
Yeah, see, it's hard to dismiss something now when you have validation from
because neither one of them knew the other one had heard it.
Right.
Yeah. So that was really strange that they basically heard the same message.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Something's always bound to happen, man. Too. Like I always tell people, even if you don't believe in it, you never know. Things could happen when you least expect it. You just don't happen to catch it. You're like, you kind of just dismiss it. It's like, well, it's like pay attention a little bit. You might, it's like, oh crap, there is something out there.
And some stuff you can't just dismiss it.
Exactly. That's what's so wonderful about it too, because it's everywhere, man.
Right. Yeah, everywhere. So that's one of the things I tell people in the Bigfoot world that. They hear the footsteps. It's a Bigfoot. Something gets thrown. It's a Bigfoot. I'm like, it very well could be paranormal stuff going on. There was a lot of, this national forest was a lot of Native American land at one time. And there's no telling what went on these lands. And
is that right in Houston or?
Right north of Houston, it's the same as the forest.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know this, but there was actually a mining colony there, also. And these miners were rough and tough. Who knows what went on? I'm sure there's a couple of the bodies buried back there somewhere. Somebody getting too close to somebody else's claim.
Yeah, it's actually really funny too. This will make you guys laugh because I thought I was hearing something in my parents' house whenever I was still living there, because of the room that I slept in. I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard little kids laughing and giggling, and my heart was like, oh my god, what the hell am I listening? So I got up while I was half asleep and I listened really closely. Turned out my dad was snoring and the airflow was causing his noise. I was like, that son of a bitch. It scared me half to death, but I was able to debunk it too. And that's another thing, debunking. You gotta make sure if it's legit and if it's not legit.
Yeah, but I think paranormal is all over the place.
Yeah, for sure.
So what were some of the first places you guys actually got to go and investigate together?
Like he said, with as together, Anchorage and Mansion, I think was the first one we did together. It was me and Phil together. The first place we did with the previous team was Bel Air House in Ohio, which we actually have a documentary on it. We've been there numerous times. And like I said, me and Jen used to always go to Gettysburg and that back in the day too.
I think
those are the bigger type places, I guess.
What about Dar Mine? I know we had that photo shoot too. I can't remember if we investigated that same day or what.
Not that same day. That day we investigated was snowing and that.
Yeah, that would have been sucky.
There's a lot of mines in Pittsburgh and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And we also did one of our first investigations. I think the Grand Midway Hotel. I think that was one of the ones too. I love that place. It's so beautiful. It sucks though, because a lot of the stuff that we've done in the beginning, it was freaking freezing out, and I'm such a whiny little pansy in the cold. I was waiting for Sean to say, Phil, you're a whiny little pansy all the time.
know you too well. Phil.
Yeah, right. Shush.
Who brought Phil? Take him back.
Can't get rid of me that easily.
We had a guy. We went bigfooting one time out in Falk,
Yeah.
Arkansas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Falk. That's where the legend of Boggy Creek was shot.
Oh yeah.
And this guy complained the whole time. And one of my other friends, we gave him hell because he rode in with him. I think this dude home with you, man. Get him out of here, dude. Why are you bringing him?
Oh crap! There's always that
He
one guy.
complained about everything, He complained about the kayaks. He complained about the birds. Complained about the walking. I'm like, dude, man.
It's like life ain't that bad, man. Holy hell. You know, I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Not every day is gonna be butterflies and rainbows doing this stuff. You have to take
Stayed
some
home, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what's one of the more interesting places you guys have investigated?
I'd say like probably my favorite place, which I guess you could say interesting, which Phil's never even been there. He's going to be there this year, though, because we're going for a full weekend. Is a Monroe House.
I'm so pumped.
In Indiana. Even when like me and Jen got there early before the rest of the team did, like I want to say like 3:00 in the afternoon or something. We went walking around the house. First off, she had like a bad vibe just going in the house in general. It took us seriously, I want to say like 45 minutes to even find the upstairs. That's how like weird this house is. Like you didn't know where the hell the door was for the upstairs. Like there was a door, but we thought it went out on a porch, but actually ended up going upstairs. But one of the things that happened too during the day when we were up there, as soon as I went upstairs, there was this doll room where they have Ouija boards and dolls and everything. And as I'm in there, one of the dolls like moved right behind me, like right when I walked in the room. So that was kind of weird. But we had a lot of activity in that house. And it was all of us. Like me and Mikey were down in the basement. April was doing the Gansfeld effect in the one room. Jen, Troy, and Hannah, I think, were upstairs in the other room. And like we're all having activity all at the same time. One of the crazy things that happened with me, well, me and Mikey, is we were down in the basement and do you know anything about the Monroe House? You ever heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yeah, of course, I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Because there's supposed to be, well, there is people like buried in the yard and under the basement and stuff too. And there's this little crawl space area, which I'm a big guy. I'm not going to no damn crawl space, but Mike does that shit. So he goes in the crawl space. And as he's back there, we ran like a baby monitor back there, and he's doing an SD session, and I'm asking questions, he's answering that. And as that's going on, said he felt like something came up from below him and grabbed him right in his junk. Okay, so he freaked out. That happened. The baby monitor froze when that happened, and then it started making like a crackling sound where it was plugged in at. We had a laser grid and we had a camera on me. They both went out at the same time. And like all that shit happened at the same time. So then another thing we did is earlier in the night we ordered food. And as we're ordering food, like Mikey was like laughing or something. And when we're in the basement later on, we're like using holy water in the basement, like blessing the basement and everything. And we have a spirit box running, and across the spirit box you hear something mocking his laugh from earlier. So that was kind of creepy.
Wow.
That's definitely like my favorite place. Like I said, there was stuff going on with my wife. There was stuff going on with April. Like the whole place is super active.
Oh yeah.
And have you guys ever been creeped out or scared?
I was scared one time, like really freaking freaked out. And Sean will actually laugh at this. Whenever we investigated the Pickle Jar Antiques, I want to say last year in Rochester, PA, sadly that place burned down. We were in the basement of the Pickle Jar Antiques, and we were doing a spirit box session, and there was a ramp that was leading down into like a lower part of the basement. I was sitting down on a plastic chair, and Mikey was kind of to the right of me where the beginning of the ramp was, and this girl named Georgia, who was also down there with us, she worked there. She was sitting, standing across from me, standing up. So Mikey was, doing this whole spirit box session thing and asking questions. And all of a sudden, I hear a loud bang right in front of me. Scared me half to death because it was really like startling. And Mike was like, holy shit. I was like, what the hell? Well, then I panned my camera over, and Georgia was on the ground in the fetal position. Apparently something tugged her. I only caught the aftermath, but thankfully Mikey had his camera facing the direction of where she was standing, and you can actually see her like get pulled backwards. And I think his buddy said he zoomed in and he can actually slow down the video where you can actually see the girl's Georgia's hoodie get lifted a little bit. And me being, it was just a natural, statement reaction. I was like, yeah, we should probably relocate someplace because I was freaked out. And Mikey was like, or we could stay here and investigate. I'm like, or we could do that too. Thankfully, I took a deep breath, composed myself, and everything was fine after that. But it caught me totally off guard. I didn't expect that at all. And it was pitch black down there, of course. So, you freaked out. But I think that was probably the only time where I was like, oh shit. But then I was like, you know what? It's about to happen. So
I saw a possession at Bel Air House the first time I was there. So that definitely freaked me out. Not that we were doing an SD session there. We were the different team. We were a couple different teams. And the one woman was on the floor doing it. And then it switched over to my old teammate that used to be part of my other group. And he had his back to the couch. The guy was sitting on the couch. And I was sitting on the other couch over here. And as he's doing the SDs, the guy that's on the couch starts freaking out. Starts like crying and starts like humming and just like not responding to us. So me and April, who's another team member of mine, we brought him outside. We're holding his hands. We're like, like trying to pray over him and stuff. And somebody comes out with sage and doing all sorts of stuff. And he's like laughing at us. And another thing is the house was supposed to have like slavery and stuff. And he's humming like, it reminded me like an old like Wade in the Water, or like some type of old slave tune, which was really weird and out of character for him. So we go back in the house, and my buddy who runs the other group, he's really deep into the occult, and he does like ceremonial magic and all this type of stuff. So he does this, I don't know what you call it, like a deliverance or something maybe, but we're all holding hands at the table, and he's like praying to different angels and everything. And as this is going on, me and April both hear Get Out come from behind him because he's sitting in between us. And then the guys keep saying, like, it's not a little girl, because there's supposed to be like a little girl spirit in this house. Keep saying it's not a little girl, and it's crawling up the walls, and it's coming down the hallway, and like all sorts of stuff. And as he's doing this ceremony, there's this big candle in the middle of the table, and it's like, and just completely goes out. You could tell just by looking around the table, like everybody was freaked out. But after he did his little ceremony, like it seemed like everything was fine. But Jen wasn't with me at the time. Like we were together, but she wasn't at the location with us. So it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. I call her on the phone. I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom myself. So I'm going to talk to you like I use the bathroom. But nothing else ended up happening later on. But that's the only time I've ever actually been freaked out.
Yeah, I probably would have went home.
Well, the funny thing is, the room I was staying in that weekend, the little girl's name is Emily Davis. I was staying in her bedroom, and where the bed is, at the foot of the bed, there's a closet, and she supposedly appears in the closet. So the whole time I'm looking in the closet, like I didn't sleep that whole week.
It's just damn closets, man. I tell you.
Yeah, so maybe Phil gets to experience that. Hopefully he gets to watch somebody else. But
Yeah, right. And it's funny because of the whole Bel Air place. Like that was one of the very few places I was very like timid about.
Yeah, because we've been there numerous times.
But I love to go in there, man. It was absolutely amazing. Although I did kind of wig out that first or second night. Was it not like wig out, but like I was against doing an experiment that the guys wanted to do. And now that I look back and I was like, I don't even know why I got all bent out of shape about it. It was like
we did this experiment with electromagnetic activity where we tried pumping everything up. We had this fan running and all these magnets. And, after we did it both nights. And we did it in the attic the one night, we did it in the basement the other night. Mm-hmm. In the attic, we had the bed shake and we heard tapping on the wall. And then down in the basement, me and Jen and Marcus, I think too, all got touched. Yeah. We kept getting like demon and stuff coming across everything. And because it's called the Bel Air Demon House. Like that's what it originally went by. So it's, I don't know, there's an actual demon out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard that. Here's Irene. She's got something interesting. She said, my youngest son's high school is haunted by a girl 14 years old. He was sitting on the toilet. She knocked on the door. The fact that no one was in the men's bathroom except him. He knew it was a spirit. He said he'll never use the toilet.
You're ballsy for even using a toilet at school.
Yeah, he's brave right there.
Crazy, man. I've seen that.
Hey, thanks for joining, Irene. She's in Tokyo.
Nice to meet you, Irene.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to ask a question too, and I got thrown off right now. What was it I asked you guys? Anyway, it has something to do with this stuff, and I don't with what we're talking about. It'll come back to me. Yeah, I've never been like scared, but definitely got like unsettled quite a few times. You
Mhm.
know, like one night, I don't know, 2 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and uh, right next to my bed, I saw this figure, this dark figure. It was a woman, and she was standing next to my bed, and it kind of freaked me out. You know,
Mm.
but I don't think she was trying to scare me or trying to be, had any kind of ill intent. I guess,
Yeah.
she was just watching me sleep, just like a creeper or something, But yeah, I had that. Um, you know how when you guys are talking, you're fooling around with somebody, and then you kind of like jab them in the ribs,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? Yeah, I got that one morning. I was like sitting on the bed 6:30 in the morning, getting ready to go to work, contemplating life's decisions, I guess, and something just jabbed me in the ribs, man. Just like boom, just like
Oh,
get your ass up,
oh man.
And,
Actually, it's funny,
yeah,
like how you mentioned bad vibes, man. I kind of had a bad vibe whenever we were at the House of Wills. Like, I don't know, it's and I get anxiety a lot. And if like, if we go into an investigation like we did at the House of Wills, it doesn't happen much anymore. But like if somebody tells me, yeah, the last person who was here had an attachment, and I don't know, just the fact that like that verbal statement kind of stuck with me that night, and it kind of like
oh yeah,
put me as from being in a really really excited mood to like I just want to get the hell out of here kind of.
yeah. I hope nothing attaches to me.
Yeah. Now it's like, yeah, whatever. You walk into a haunted house, it's haunted. Something's gonna happen, whether you like it or not, kind of thing. So,
That's what I was going to ask
yeah,
you. Remember
yes,
now, do you guys do anything to protect yourselves when you're going or coming from a location?
yep.
I personally really don't, but like Jen will like pray over us or pray when
Yeah.
we leave or something like that. I was raised Catholic, and I do usually try to wear like protection beads or like I'll wear like a St. Christopher's medallion or something. But when it comes to like praying and that, like Jen will do that stuff. We bring holy water with us. She does anointing oil. We've done house blessings and stuff before too. I'm just not really a religious person like that.
Yeah.
You know how to make holy water?
No.
Boil the hell out of
There we go. Yeah, I'm a non-denominational Christian, even though I don't like look or act like it 95% of the time. So I'm always like in my head saying a prayer to God, and even before I leave, it's not like a a freaked out kind of thing. It's just more of like you're walking into a new place you've never been to, or even if you have been to, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's always nice to kind of have that peace of mind, and it's. I sometimes just do it out of habit, and I want everybody to have a good time and not have to worry about anything, coming home because we all have families and stuff, and it just kind of makes you feel better. At least for me,
that's Mikey right there. He's part of our team.
Oh yeah, yep, exactly, and that's what we also do. Like stay there, thanks for having us, but you were not allowed to come home with us. So
yeah. Do you guys have any abilities, or do you have anyone on your team that has abilities or gifts?
There's some people that think they do.
I don't have any whatsoever. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I can sense stuff like if I'm in a room, like when we were at Trans Allegheny, we were in the bedpost murder room, and the whole room just fell off. And like I took a million pictures in there just to because it felt like something was watching us in there. And another thing is, Mikey's a jagoff.
Maximum effort.
But another thing, back in the day, like me and my family went to the Jello Museum, which is in Leroy, New York. And as we're in there, I was in the kitchen of this place, and I said to the lady, because it just the room didn't feel right. I said to the lady, I said, "Is this place haunted?" And she just laughed at me and didn't answer me. But I wouldn't say I have that's just a couple things. Sometimes I could tell if something's off, but there's some other people in our group that I don't know. I guess think they can feel stuff or see stuff. I'm not 100% sold on it. I mean, even psychics, 90% of psychics I don't believe. So it's hard to even believe people in my own team. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have any abilities whatsoever. Like I don't get these sensitivities that other people do. I can tell if you're not in a good mood. That's pretty easy. But I can just, you walk into a room and people are like, "Oh my God, this feels really strange to me." I'm like, to me, it just feels like a room. I don't know. I just don't really. I don't want to say I don't open myself up, but I'd rather go in there just as myself and not have to mentally prepare. I just go in. It's to me, it's much more realistic. Because I'm there for, learning and the social aspect, the fun of it. I don't want to completely mentally or emotionally submerged. I just want to go in and cool.
I would say that by doing the Estes and that. like channeling and all that, I think I've gotten better.
Yeah, you're awesome at it,
I
man.
mean, Phil knows, like, we've had some stuff happen. We were at Loveland Castle. I was doing an SD session. We had poltergeist activity where the camera got moved. And there was another time we were at Tin Lizzy, which is this old restaurant, and my voice changed. And, like, they all said, like, they thought I was, like, something was coming through me because, like, I didn't sound, didn't act like how I was. So I guess if that's an ability, I can do that type of stuff, channeling.
Yeah, dude, your voice went, like, really, like, low and, like, croaky kind of thing. We were like, we got to get him out of here. And then you had to go in the back and drink some pop or something, and he was slowly coming back. But it was
that's the thing too, is like I got to do it. Like, we'll do SDs like in the same room with each other and stuff like that. I have to meditate basically, either by myself, and then I can get under. Yeah,
and I think like the more you do this stuff, you become almost sensitive to it. Not that, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily that you have abilities and gifts, but I think we all do to a certain extent. Some have it better than others, but I think the more you do it, the more you become, I guess, acclimated to it.
I have
to those vibes.
I have the ability to flirt with people just so we can get into certain locations of a
that is a secret power, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it got us into the basement of the Anchorage mansion. I had to work my mojo with these two girls that were working there, so they let us in. Since I'm like the single guy of the whole group, so.
Yeah, we even like when we go like doing our Bigfoot stuff, there are just times when we go out there and it just feels like we're in the woods camping, and even when we go to these active locations, and it's just like nothing. But sometimes, I mean, we're still in the vehicle, we're pulling up to that area, and I mean, all the hairs are standing up on us, and your head's on a swivel, you get butterflies in your stomach, it's
just
I think you get used to yeah. I think you get used to those vibes, like I said, and your body can pick up on it a little bit more.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Peace, Mikey.
All right, Mikey.
See you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for joining, buddy. Yeah, I think everyone has those abilities.
We all have gifts,
and I think
we all have gifts, whatever you want to call it. Gift for social, socialness. The gift for like being able to read people really well, and some of it could be exaggerated to a certain degree for effect. You do you.
I think I got a pretty good BS detector. That's about it.
Oh, Sean's the king of that good BS detector.
That's what I'm saying. I don't buy a lot of these.
But I'm full of BS too. So that's probably
we all do. We all do. I mean, sometimes you gotta. I mean, we're human. It's a part of it.
What's on your bucket list? Where do you want to go? You haven't been to yet.
I'll let you go first, Sean.
Well, in the United States, I want to go to the Winchester Mystery House. If we could go like, in Europe or something like that, like Dracula's Castle, I thought would be cool.
That'd be sick.
Was that Pavia Island in Italy would be cool. Island of the Dolls in Mexico, like all those type of places would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I said, and we've been to New Orleans a couple of times, but we never got to investigate anything. Like the Lalaurie Mansion would be awesome, but it's like impossible to get into that. I don't know, just there's a lot of places on my bucket list. Oh, another one actually, which probably isn't even possible because like health wise, I'd love to go to Chernobyl. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw I think a YouTube video on like some dude that was traveling to Chernobyl, and that's all I gotta say. That place is legit.
I like just abandoned places in general. Like even like I'd love to go down to New Orleans, the Six Flags that's abandoned down there, and check out the old abandoned amusement park. I think that'd be cool too.
That'd be sick. And Sean could totally vouch for this. I'm a huge fan of the Paris catacombs, and it actually has one of my favorite like modern day horror films that actually took place in there called As Above, So Below. I'm not sure if you've actually seen that, but I would literally like give my like kidney to go there. I mean, it's like a place filled with like bones of like a couple million people. I mean, it sounds kind of dark, but that's really cool. And I'm trying to think of what else here. The Suicide Forest, that doll place that Sean mentioned, Stanley Hotel, the Occult Museum that Ed and Lorraine helped run. That'd be really cool too. And can't really think of any other places, but those would definitely be the top picks. Just money and time is always an issue.
Right. Yeah. Probably more money than time. Cause,
Oh, dude, I tell you what, man, this shit's expensive.
yeah.
I gotta start selling my body. What?
Yeah, Joanne said that they had the Fear Fest in New Orleans late October.
That'd be cool.
Just saying.
That'd be sick. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, I've been to New Orleans. I've done like the ghost tours,
Mhm.
but I've never done like any investigations. But the ghost tours were pretty cool too. I was lucky enough to have some really good people that were leading the tour. They were a lot of fun and stuff.
Isn't Louisiana like one of the prime like locations in the entire U.S.
Yeah.
that's haunted? I think.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of voodoo in that. In
Yeah, dude, they had voodoo, they had pirates, they had the mob.
That's badass.
It was
I love that.
rich history.
We've been to New Orleans twice. Like once when we got engaged, and then we went for Jen's 40th birthday last year too. And we've done a lot of the ghost tours. We actually had at Muriel's, which is a haunted restaurant. You can actually pay extra money to eat with the ghost. So we sat at the ghost table, like ate with the ghost.
That's so cool.
And then we did a lot of the graveyard tours. Like we saw Marie Laveau's grave and stuff like that. Yeah, we love New Orleans. We actually want to retire down there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I won't say we, but I've been in New Orleans quite a few times. They're like I said, 6 hours away from me.
That's not bad at all, actually. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, I've been on. We've been on there, man, dozens and dozens of times since I was a little kid.
Oh yeah, I actually
last time we drove, driving was a pain in the ass. We stopped in Nashville and then for a night, and then went down there. But, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I could drive that far.
Oh, it's like 1,000 miles from Pittsburgh. So.
My sister's father-in-law could probably easily drive that too because he loves to drive, loves it. He drove like 16 states in 17 days to follow a football team, so it was a cakewalk for him. I'm like, dude, that's freaking insane.
I got bad knees, so I'm in a car ride for that long, and when I get out, I'm walking like Frankenstein.
I just get bored driving sometimes. Like, is this going to end? Like, whenever Sean and I went to Indiana for the ISS, it was 7 hours. It wasn't that bad, but we broke it up a little bit. It was easy, but just that straight shot, I mean, you're just like, when the hell is this shit going to end?
Right. Shoot, my daughter drove from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way to just north of L.A.
Oh wow!
Ooh,
she drove that. She drove that. Man.
Did she enjoy it?
Yes, yeah. Man, she loves living in different states and living in different cities.
Pretty cool, man.
Anything under like 6 hours doesn't really bother me. Like my grandmother lived in upstate New York, so we always visited her like every couple months growing up. So like I'm used to car rides, but. Anything over that, I'm staying in a motel.
Yeah, there was actually a documented Uber drive, 22 hours for a famous YouTuber, and the guy like made like $5,000 plus a tip for like gas and all that stuff too. And
like, yeah, that takes somebody for $5,000.
Yeah, man, right? Shit. Get to have some cool company, crank your tunes, man, and have a sore ass by the time you're done.
Right? That didn't sound right.
From sitting down.
That doesn't make it any better. You know?
Folks, I meant for sitting down.
On the chair.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So what do you guys got going on next? What's the next adventure you guys are going to be doing?
This weekend we have at Psychic Fair at Conneaut Hotel. Me and Troy are going to that. Just basically being vendors and linking up with some people while we're there. Then the week after we're at Greene County Historical Society for a ghost hunt with our friends, Northern Appalachian Paranormal Society. We're joining them.
That's gonna be sick.
There's a bunch of other stuff coming up, but those are the next two things.
Yeah, this whole year is gonna be filled with stuff, man. Can't even keep track of any of it. Doing a Gettysburg bash again.
Freaking at Mansfield. I actually have the Mansfield State Reformatory shirt on right now.
Hell yeah, brother! I love Mansfield, Ohio, so much. It's actually probably one of my favorite places to go to. You know, I mean, the Ohio State Reformatory. Come on now.
But then convention wise, like we're also going to be at Sleepy Hollow in October, which is really cool. We did that last year. Me and Jen were actually speakers at it. And then investigation wise, we have Monroe House, we have Octagon House, Old College Hills in May. I think that's the one after Green.
Yeah.
I don't know, a bunch of stuff coming up.
Yeah. And probably stuff we're gonna end up, missing out. We're gonna probably have to just like keep adding stuff, and Plus, living in Pittsburgh, there's all sorts of creepy locations around here too. That's why I always like to just like hang out with friends. Like, hey, you want to go check this place out? It's kind of cool.
Well, I don't even know if I can technically talk about it, but the owner of Bel Air just hit Jen up today about something she has in the works too. So there might be something going on with that too. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I love Bel Air House. I want to go back there again. That was probably one of my favorite locations to go to. It's pretty awesome.
There's nothing really here in Houston, which I'm surprised. I mean, there are like some of the older hotels like downtown, that are supposedly haunted, but they don't let people like do investigations there or whatever.
That's weird.
Yeah, even like there's a I think it's our oldest public library downtown too. It's supposed to be haunted, but they don't let anybody do investigations.
Now I don't know if it's in Houston. I think it's in Texas though. Is the Goatman's Bridge?
Yeah, it's up around San Antonio. Okay. San Antonio.
Nice.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, my friend Mary's supposed to be going there. She lives like 2 miles away from there.
Oh, really?
And she's like, I just found out about it. Yeah. I talked to her last week. She's like, I just found out about this place. It's like 2 miles from my house.
Isn't it crazy? Like, if you don't go looking for it, you have no idea where it's at. It could be like right in front of you, man.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So right outside of Houston, there's Katy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
oh, yeah. Katy, Texas. Yep.
So not quite out to Katy, but there's a place called growing up, it was called Blue Light Cemetery. I don't know where that came from, but that's not what it's called. It's called Patterson Road.
Yeah.
And there's a bridge over there that tons of people are always going to. They say there's a lot of activity out there. A lot of paranormal teams actually go out there, and there was actually an author. She wrote a book about that area. Yeah, Patterson Road. So I've always wanted to go out there, but there's always people out there. Mainly a bunch of just novice. People just going out there, high school kids just going out there.
That's like when we did that Gettysburg thing. It's a big thing, so there's tons of paranormal people in the area. At all the like known locations, like we try to go to Crybaby Bridge or Sachs Bridge or there's people everywhere. Like you can't get into anything.
That's a shame too. It's like, if a place is haunted, it's just like, I might as well open up to the public, see what they can find out. Because I mean, I take pride in like knowing a place like that, happens to be there, and I'm like, I can really do something with this for the public eye.
You're not allowed on the battlefield at night either. We got pulled over by the cops back to back
twice.
we weren't on the battlefield. We were driving through the battlefield, and my wife pulls over and we're running like a spirit box or something. We didn't get out of the car, but the cop knows what the fuck's going on. Like he pulls up to us, he's like, "Yeah, what are you guys doing here?" So we end up leaving. We drive out. Seriously, like
5 minutes later.
Yeah, 3 blocks later, another cop pulls us over because her headlight was out. Luckily, he just gave us a warning left, but it was funny. Like within 5 minutes, we got pulled over by 2 different cops.
And I was like, if this happens a third time, I'm done. Yeah, I think the guy, the cop, second time around, had to get dispatched to like another serious issue
or something. So
yeah, you just have to play dumb in a place you go to all the time, but pretend you never been.
Yeah, that's what we do when we go out bigfooting and, in the middle of the night, the rangers come up to you. What are you guys doing out here? We got a parabolic mic.
Filming?
Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
I'm doing nothing.
Nothing to see here, officer. Carry on.
He asked me, he says, what are you guys doing out here? And he was smiling from ear to ear. And I just said, we just listen to the sounds of nature. And he goes, have you heard anything that you're not supposed to hear? He just kind of leaned forward like that. I said, no, not yet.
That's so funny.
He goes, okay. He turned around, got in his truck, and drove off.
There was another time we were coming back from Hillview, actually, and it was, I want to say 3 or 4 in the morning, whenever they closed. And our camp's right up there, so we're going back to our camp. And no one's on the road. Cop pulls up behind me, and I told Jen, I was like, we're going to get pulled over. There's no one here. Like, he's going to be following us for the next 6 miles. He pulls us over. He was really cool, actually, but he was like, what are you guys doing at? And we're like, we were just up Hillview. We were ghost hunting. And they're like, oh, like, that's cool. And they like started asking us about stuff and talking about paranormal stories with them. And nothing happened. Like, we didn't get fined or anything, but it was funny. Like, that's a common thing, it seems like. Once people find out you're into paranormal, they'll start telling you all your stories,
Yep, exactly. I think the same thing happened with Mikey, too, didn't it? Like, he had like a light, like a brake bulb out or something like that, and cop pulled him over, and he told me he came back from an investigation, and the cop was like, oh, you got to hear this, man. Let him off with this. See you guys later, Hasn't happened to me yet. Hope it doesn't. My heart was sorry.
Yeah, you know what? You're right about being that guy, paranormal, Bigfoot, whatever. People, when they find out, you know, even people who like gave me like a hard time,
Yeah.
right? They'll eventually come around and go, "Hey, come here, I got to tell you something. This happened to me, right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
somebody want me to ask you this, Yeah, yeah. It always happens. They always come back and, hey, I got my dog. He was ripped in
Oh
half or
God,
something.
poor dog.
Yeah,
It always makes for a
yeah,
really good story to tell anybody, just even complete
yeah,
strangers, and
yeah, yeah,
it works at the bar too whenever you're trying to meet new people and they're like, "Oh, tell me more." Yeah.
yeah.
Phil just doesn't pick up girls.
He's about 95% correct on that. The other 5 was like, I actually like this stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta.
So do you guys do like document documentaries, or what do you guys?
Yeah, we have I think 5 or 6 up on our YouTube. We have one on Bel Air House, one on Grand Midway. Well, actually 2 on Grand Midway because it's 2 parts. Greenville Manor, Lake Shawnee. Am I missing anything, Phil? Trans Allegheny.
Yep.
That was with the previous group, though. But I mean, that's up on our YouTube too. Those are all our documentaries. We're pretty big on TikTok. Like Jen does a lot of stuff on TikTok. Usually, like more like clips from investigations and like stories and stuff like that. But we have a bunch of little clips and evidence and stuff. We've been on Paranormal Warehouse a couple of times. They featured the video where the girl got pulled. They featured that on there. The poltergeist activity at Loveland Castle where the camera got moved. They featured that. I'm trying to think what else. I saw there was something else too. But yeah, so I mean, we have a lot of stuff out there. We actually, when we did the Bel Air documentary, we released it at Dormont Theater, which is a movie theater in our area, and we had the owner come out. She's a psychic and she's an author, and she was signing books and everything. And we had a pretty decent turnout for that, so that was pretty cool.
And what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Just Bumping the Night Society.
That's pretty awesome. We haven't like updated that in a while too.
Jen posts little small clips on it. We're closing in on like 900 followers on there.
Yeah, it's getting up there, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We put our podcast is called Exploring Your Society. We put all our podcast episodes up on there too.
Oh yeah, we have some funny episodes, especially with our last episode with 2 of our friends one of them who I work with, named Jessica. Yeah. That was probably one of the funniest episodes I've ever been a part of because they were both like drinking and everything too. And
they're in a band called God Hates Unicorns.
Yeah, it was great.
They came in second place in Pittsburgh for rock band or whatever, and the time we were on their podcast, and when we were on their podcast, one of the questions they asked us is, "Could you have sex with a ghost?" So instead of Bumping the Night, they actually made a song kind of dedicated us. It's called Fucking the Night. They want us to actually be in the music video, and they film the music video, so that's kind of cool.
I'm okay with that.
Depends on what your part is, but
all right.
Yeah. So, what's one of your favorite pieces of evidence you've caught?
I'd say probably that Loveland Castle thing was really cool because I never really even told you the complete story behind it. I was in the one room where they have like these 2 knights. Like it's a really cool visual because there's these 2 knights next to me, and I have like a blindfold on, and it's in night vision and everything. We had 3 different cameras set up. We had the baby monitor set up. We had like a little $100 camera, and then we had like a high end. We had a videographer at the time. He had his $1,000 camera set up in there. So the 3 cameras are set up. Usually when we do an Estes, at least with me, it'll be, well, I know our baby monitor isn't working really, but when it was working, like I'd be in one room, they'd be usually a floor or 2 away. But since we're in a castle, like you didn't get the greatest reception. So they're only like 2 or 3 rooms away because of the, stone and everything. But they're in that room. And like I said, this is all on video, and there's video on my end, there's video on their end. And they're talking about, something's in the room with Sean. Can you move one of the cameras? And at like a minute later, like you see the camera just tip over, and you see me like react to it because I'm like, "What the hell was that?" And they all come running out of the room, and I'm like, "What the hell was going on?" That was kind of cool because, like, it was like you don't get a lot of poltergeist activity caught on camera,
Right. Yeah, I'd have to say the same thing with what he just said, and as well as the whole tunnel thing that Sean and I witnessed whenever we were with our friends Mary and Chris at McKeesport, Dead Man's Hollow. That was freaking awesome, and what transpired before that was pretty crazy because we were communicating, and what we were communicating with was very not nice. I'll just say that much.
Well, some of I think we got some really cool like audio stuff too.
Oh yeah.
3 of the top things I can think of. Well, maybe even more than 3.
Yeah.
One thing is when we were at Dead Man's Hollow, an Ovulus has like a word bank in it, and it only has certain words programmed in it. Well, we were in McKeesport. The thing said McKeesport, like it shouldn't be able to say McKeesport. It said McKeesport. Right. That was kind of cool. We had when we were at Lake Shawnee, which do you know anything about Lake Shawnee? It's like an old abandoned amusement park.
No.
It's in West Virginia. This little girl died on a swing set, all this type of stuff. As Troy was talking to this little girl at the swing set earlier, and he said the swing was moving and everything. We go back in this bus that's on the property, and we're doing like running an S box. And first the thing said Jen, which was me, Jen, and Troy. And then it says clear as day, it says come play in a little girl's voice. So that was really cool. Trying to think, at Darmine, Mikey was running an S box there, and we were talking to Walter, who's supposedly one of the guys that's trapped in the mine and never got out. And as he's talking to him, you hear him say, "I'm right here, Mike." Which is and another cool one at Trans Allegheny, they were down. Mikey and the old team member were down in the like lobotomy room, and he's talking, asking about lobotomy, and you hear the same exact voice. It says, "Yes, I did," and then 2 seconds later, "Yes, I did." Like that was crazy too.
Oh, yeah. I actually, whenever we were at Greenville Manor doing the investigation, it was a public one. I was in this one bride's room with Sean's wife Jen, and I was sitting in the one chair, and our other friend Jen was sitting right next to me on the ground, and we were using one of those necrophonic apps, I believe, and I don't know how legit it was, but it was kind of cool. My name was said twice, and then we were on the 3rd floor of that same place, and we had a music box. I think it was a light-up music box in the quote-unquote portal room, and then we were in another part of the room that had a kitchen that was adjacent to the fireplace, mantle there. And Sean had his other app out. My name was also said Phil, and then after that it said Demon. And normally I would have been like freaked out by that, like, oh my god, no. But now I was like, it's like kind of cool, And whenever that happened, like the I don't know if it was just a coincidence or anything, but the music box in that portal room went off while we were not even paying attention to it. That's whenever I heard Phil, and then heard Demon after that.
I'm like, really talking about Greenville, actually, you just reminded me of this. This was during a public. We hosted a public there, and we're upstairs, and me and a group of people, which there's some of the relatives of Mikey. Mikey was in a different group, but as we're up there doing a session, across an app, it said toddler.
Yep.
And it said Leo, and Mikey's kid's name's Leo. So they all know that. They're like freaking out, like, oh, they're talking about Mikey's kid. And as I call him on a walkie-talkie, I was like, oh, like you need to come up here. It said toddler. It said Leo. As I'm talking to him, it came across and said dad. So that was back to back to back.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Mikey was a little bit worried.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And he doesn't get worried that much when it comes to that stuff. He was like, yeah, that's not good. You just tell the tone of his voice. He was really concerned because, you don't hear the word Leo all the time, like Sean said. Right. You don't. And toddler doesn't happen all the time either. It's usually something else too, but holy crap. And actually, I have another piece of evidence. It has nothing to even do with the team. I was at my friend Becky's house, and she lives right in Sharpsburg, which is like 5 minutes down the road from me. And she downloaded the necrophonic app too because she knows that I like this stuff. And her dog, she has a big pit bull, and it was on its hind legs staring at something in the corner of the room and following it. And then it was in the middle of the living room where we were sitting, and it was actually, this like kind of spinning where the light was. So we took out the necrophonic app, and her sister, or I think her sister's name was like Becky Joe or something. I can't remember anyway. That's actually her name, but her sister's name came up in the actual necrophonic app as well. And we think that her dog was actually playing with her sister, right in front of us too. It was weird. I think her sister was like Amy Joe or something like that, but it was kind of made us like, whoa, okay. I wasn't like freaked out or anything. It was kind of bittersweet, I guess would be the right way of putting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, completely unrelated to the team, but I thought that was kind of cool. This shit can happen anywhere, Yeah.
So. Well, cool beans, guys. We're already up on an hour, man. Is there anything you guys want to say, or you want to plug anything? Channels, Facebook pages, contact information?
Yeah, we're on pretty much everything. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Oh yeah.
We're even on Snapchat, even though no one really uses it.
Right.
We have documentaries up on YouTube. Our podcast, Exploring Your Societies, on YouTube. We also run on Facebook Live. Like I said, we have that psychic fair coming up this weekend. If anybody would be in the area, come
Visit us for fun.
even though Phil won't be there, but
Yeah, that's true. I won't be there. I'll be there in spirit though. They're gonna still have a fun time. So,
but I don't know anything else, Phil.
that's pretty much it, man. That's all I got. Yeah. Check us out. We have a lot of we like to add humor to, just doing what we do, because you can't be too serious. You have a fun time, and it's just this stuff's fun as hell, and we like to, it's just a part of our life. And we love it. So check us out. We have some really cool content out there, just like Sean said too. And we're always we're still learning every day, and hopefully we can keep on pumping more material out for you guys.
We do house cleansings, and if your house is haunted, stuff like that. As long as you're within the tri-state area, I'd say Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, we'll travel.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and if anybody wants to get a hold of them, you can't get a hold of me, and I'll shoot them a message for you, get you guys in contact.
Yeah.
And guys, man, thanks a lot for joining. I really appreciate it. You guys did a great job, and if I can do anything for you guys, just let me know. I'll share or promote anything for you guys. Just let me know.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh yeah, brother. It was fantastic, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hold on real quick, guys.
Yep.
I want to talk to you all right, guys. Everybody in the chat room, you guys did a great job as always. So thank you very much. And I'll be seeing you guys next week.